Ashton Kutcher thought that his problems with Diddy would end in 2022, but he's in for a big surprise because Diddy's former bodyguard just did a deep dive and revealed how involved Ashton was with Diddy. I assure you that this revelation will leave you in complete shock. We all thought that Ashton was just crazy about Diddy and only cared about parties and nothing else. But according to Gene, there's a lot more to that than we know. For example, Ashton's then girlfriend died in the same mysterious circumstances as Diddy's girlfriend, Kim Porter. If you think that sounds fishy, you should be sat down because there's a lot more crazy stuff going on. In the early 2000s, when Ashton was hosting his popular MTV show Punk, Diddy had a crazy idea to prank Ashton, who was busy looking for the next big pop group. Diddy wasn't going to go along with it, so he called Ashton directly and told him to drop the plan, which Ashton did. That quick conversation turned into the start of an unexpected friendship. Fast forward a few years, and Ashton and Diddy were living their best lives together. It was clear that Diddy loved and respected Ashton so much that when Ashton made it to Times Magazine's list of the 100 most influential people in the world, Diddy didn't hold back. He was there in person to congratulate him and give him his well-deserved flower. Kutcher is someone I can talk to because, like me, he's a film and TV producer. We are yin and yang, mogul. Even so, it wasn't a surprise that Ashton was one of the first celebrities to dump Diddy after he was caught.
One day and I said, I heard that you are going to punk me, and I just don't think that's a good idea. I
don't think that that's the way you said it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, then you tell the story.
I'm pretty sure that's not the way you said it. Okay. I don't think that's a good idea.
Fans quickly realized that Ashton's sudden disappearance was likely because he didn't want to draw attention to himself because he has a sketchy past. For example, do you remember how hard he and his wife Munice got dragged when they chose to defend their friend Danny Masterson after he was caught for saw? Ashton wrote that Masterson had been a positive influence on him throughout his life. During our 25-year relationship, I don't remember him ever lying to me. He taught me how to be honest and face problems in relationships and life head-on, solving them and moving on. He wrote, "There's always someone like Danny there for you when you need him." I know that the judgment has been found guilty of 2 counts of rape by force, and the victims really want justice. I hope that my testimony about his character is taken into account when he is sentenced. I can honestly say that I never saw my friend as anything other than what I've described. Meanwhile, Mila wrote that Masteron was a great friend, confidant, and, most of all, a great older brother figure to me. She also wrote about how caring he was and how he could help guide me. Unfortunately for Ashton and Ma, those letters didn't stay private for long. When they were made public, fans were outraged that the couple had backed someone facing such serious accusations. The backlash was swift and harsh, leaving Ashton and Mila with no choice but to post an apology video on Instagram and try to explain themselves. But it doesn't end there. Ashton was also pretty much forced to quit his anti-bullying charity Thorn because of his bad behavior. And let's be honest, Diddy isn't the only bad.
Are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that.
Friendship Ashton has had. 2019, when Ashton featured on Hot Ones, Sean Evans tried to get the scoop on Diddy's exclusive events, but Ashton wasn't about to spill any tea. Instead, he shut that talk down real quick and changed the subject, leaving everyone wondering what he was trying so hard to keep under wraps. Well, Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Dill, just spilled his 2 cents on Ashton. And it looks like whatever we thought we knew about Diddy and Ashton is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how deep Ashton and Diddy were supposedly in together. For example, the topic.
These stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote, if you
really?
have one. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. There was one moment. So it's not really a party story, but our relationship was really bizarre. So it started over punked because he was like, "Yo,
Don't punk
you
me."
can't punk me," and I was like, "I don't want to tell you. Everybody's on the table." He's like, "Not me. I'm off the table." And so that started our conversation. We became fast friends. And we used to just hang out, watch football.
Of actress Brittany Murphy came up, and the reporter pointed out how weird it was that Brittany died under the same shady circumstances as Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Kim Porter. It's interesting that he brought up Brittany Murphy because fans are starting to question the circumstances that led to her death. Brittany Murphy was tragically found dead at just 32 years old.
Kutcher was also friends with Brittany Murphy, who also was friends with P. Diddy, who also died the same death as Kim Porter. Now, Ashton Kutcher as well also runs a child protection thing, I think it's called Fawn, where he's trying to save children. But we know now a lot of these people use this thing for child to actually not expose it, but to gain from their own benefit.
And while the official cause was ruled as pneumonia, fans weren't buying it. They couldn't shake the feeling that something darker was going on behind the scenes. And then things got even wilder. Her husband, Simon, also died just 5 months later in the same house. Same cause, pneumonia. 2 apparently healthy people both gone in such a short time from the exact same thing. It had conspiracy theories flying left and right. Some suspected toxic mold, but others thought it was more sinister and a cover-up. But wait, because Brittany Murphy's dad is sure she was poisoned. Yep, he's not here for the official story. And honestly, a lot of people are starting to side-eye the whole situation too. It's getting shadier by the minute, and just when you think it couldn't get messier, here's the kicker. The doctor who handled Brittany's autopsy is the same guy who worked on Kim Porter's second autopsy. You know Diddy's ex. He ruled both deaths as pneumonia. The first coroner who did Kim's autopsy noted that there were some shady and suspicious toxins in her body, but for some reason he was removed from the case after he made his findings. The second coroner gave the pneumonia diagnosis, and just when the case started to get public notice, the first coroner suddenly passed away under some interesting circumstances, with Brittany's dad claiming foul play in Kim's case, raising eyebrows. You can't help but wonder what's really going on here. So what does this have to do with Brittany? Well, in an intriguing turn of events, Gad Dale stated that Brittany allegedly had an affair with Ashton while he was still married to.
I was around Ashton Kutcher and Diddy before, and they were speaking about Brittany Murphy. And I don't think I ever told this story, and I'm about to tell this story here. While he was married to Demi Moore, he was still sneaking around seeing Brittany Murphy. You understand? We were going to a Nets game, so we picked him up, and he was explaining to Diddy that every time he goes to Brittany's house, paparazzi always catches him or almost catch him coming out her apartment or coming out the building. And Diddy was telling him that's either the doorman or your security. You know what I'm saying? And he was still married to Demi Moore at the time. So you could have something, you could be right. Because it's crazy how they said her and Kim and some other individual with them or around them all died of pneumonia, and they were
Demi Moore. It gets worse because, as it turns out, Britney was not Ashton's only girlfriend who passed away under strange circumstances, but he had another girlfriend who was brutally unalived just a few minutes before he arrived at her house for a date night. Fans are pointing out how weird it is that Ashton had two girlfriends who passed away under the shadiest circumstances. And when you factor in his close friendship with Diddy and other shady people in the business, it kind of makes the whole thing way more concerning. Fans commented maybe it's time we look into Ash and Kutcher's human and child TR work, given he's best buds with people like Diddy and Danny Masterson. Ashton Kutcher has a long past with P. Diddy, and I'd be willing to bet he's got more than a few skeletons in his closet. And P. Diddy had Ash and Kutcher at his party. But what makes it weird is their friendship with Brittany Murphy. Allegedly, she passed away from pneumonia, then they found drugs in her system, and then they said she was poisoned. Does this sound familiar to you? This is a mess, but I want to know how you guys feel about this chaos. So drop your thoughts in the comments and then check out this next movie.